A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 34th session BA History program, second semester. I am Sudhaji, Assistant Professor, Department of History, GFGC, Ripanpet. Let me start the session by posing a question to you. Shall I? Okay. Name the North Indian rulers who launched expedition on South India. Shall I tell you the answer if you don't know? Okay. They were Samudragupta, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and Aurangzeb, the Mughal ruler. Today, in this session, let us know about Aurangzeb's South Indian expedition, also called as Deccan policy of Aurangzeb. In the previous class, students have learnt about a brief description of Aurangzeb's early life and his personality. Learning objectives of today's session: to enable the students to learn about the causes for his Deccan campaign, students will recognize the enemies of Aurangzeb in Deccan. They will also locate the places captured by Aurangzeb in South India. Learning outcome: at the end of the session, students will compare and contrast between Aurangzeb and Napoleon, as both of them ruined because of their nature of power mongering. They will locate the extension of Mughal Empire on the outline map of India during his reign. To begin with, Aurangzeb spent 25 years, that's between 1681 to 1701, of his reign in conflict with three powers in Deccan, such as Bijapur, Golconda, and the Marathas. His Deccan policy proved disastrous for the Mughal Empire. His Deccan policy was very aggressive, which had political as well as economic and religious purposes. The extension of the empire was one of the purposes of Aurangzeb. He aimed to destroy the Maratha power and to annex Bijapur and Golconda, the two Shia states of Deccan, who owed nominal allegiance to the ruler of Abbasid Caliphs. The Deccan states were wealthy, hence, he was tempted to conquer them. He was not satisfied simply by acceptance of his suzerainty by them, but he desired to annex them to the Mughal Empire. Let's move on to know the reasons for the Deccan campaign. As you know you pretty well that Aurangzeb was a highly ambitious person who was interested to expand his dominions. He was basically an imperialist also. He wanted to crush the Hindu power Marathas of Maharashtra in South India. He was a Sunni Muslim, very conservative, whereas Bijapur and Golconda were the two Shia states. There was a threat by all the three kingdoms of south to Aurangzeb. Contact of Marwar and Mewar with Sambhaji was also not liked by Aurangzeb. The Deccan rulers stopped paying the annual tribute to him. Bijapur and Golconda were not in good terms. Aurangzeb wanted to take the opportunity of this enmity between these two states. And Aurangzeb was the governor of Deccan for 2 terms before becoming the emperor of Mughal Empire, which he wanted to annex. Now, you look at the outline map of India very carefully, where we can see Golconda and Bijapur in Karnataka, Golconda in Telangana, today's present Telangana. While locating the places on the outline map of India, you should take the help of longitude and latitude. You should never locate the places approximately. Make use of atlas, refer them frequently, because you know pretty well that geography and chronology are the two eyes of history. Geography provides stage on which history can be enacted. You can also notice Multan Sindh province, and Maharashtra, where Marathas were there. Always take atlas while studying. Hope you will follow my instruction. Next, move on to conflict with Bijapur. You can raise a doubt what made Aurangzeb to come into conflict with Bijapur. Let me tell you, Bijapur was a Shia state, whereas Aurangzeb was a Sunni Muslim. He was an imperialist. He wanted its help against Marathas, but Bijapur did not render its help to him. To recover from Bijapur the land tract of Ahmednagar, which Shah Jahan had given to Bijapur earlier, and its ruler failed to give 1 crore along with the fort of Purandar as per the Treaty of 1657. After a struggle for more than 12 years, Bijapur was annexed to the Mughal Empire. Actually, Aurangzeb deputed his son Azam against Bijapur. Azam besieged the fort, and Aurangzeb also reached there in person. In July 1686 AD, the fort surrendered. In September 1686 AD, Sikandar Adil Shah was granted a pension and Bijapur was annexed to the Mughal Empire. Now, let us move on to conflict with Golconda. Golconda, you know, famous for mining. Aurangzeb wanted to grab its wealth. Golconda helped the Marathas against the Mughals. Prime Minister of Golconda was Madana Pandit, the Hindu wielded a great influence. The siege of the fort of Golconda lasted for about 8 months, but without any success. He has given bribery to one of the chiefs of Golconda, who opened the gates. The fort was occupied. The Sultan Abul Hasan was imprisoned and Golconda was annexed in 1687 AD. Now let us move on to conflict with Rajaram between 1689 to 1700. There was a great resentment among the Marathas over the execution of Sambhaji. They made Rajaram, second son of Shivaji, their ruler and started their campaign for independence. Rajaram was died in 1700, but the Marathas continued their struggle. Now, conflict with Tarabai between 1700 to 1707. Tarabai was the wife of Rajaram. She made her 4-year son Shiva II the ruler, and she acted as his guardian and fought against the Mughals. Aurangzeb and his forces became desperate and wanted some sort of settlement. The Marathas rose as one force against the Mughals to liberate their motherland. The Maratha War of Independence was first led by Rajaram and then by his widow Tarabai. Both of them proved equal to their task. Rajaram proved a capable organizer, while Tarabai proved herself quite diplomatic. A Muslim historian, Kafi Khan, wrote about her. It was the result of her efforts that the Marathas started attacking not only the Subhas of the Deccan but also the distant Mughal provinces, and Aurangzeb failed to subdue the Marathas even till the end of his reign. He failed in subduing the Marathas and died in the Deccan, fully realizing his failure against the Marathas. Thus, the Deccan policy of Aurangzeb ultimately failed. As a conclusion, we can summarize that under Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire reached its greatest extent. Larger the empire, more will be the responsibility of administering it. Aurangzeb utterly failed in maintaining vast land, peace and order in his empire. As he gave more importance to Deccan, he could not concentrate on North India. Ultimately, his Deccan policy led to the dissolution of Mughal Empire. Let us learn about its consequences in our next session. Before winding the session, let us have a quick recapitulation of the main points what we have learned today. Causes for the Deccan campaign by Aurangzeb, conflict with Bijapur, Golconda, and with the Marathas, recognized the enemies in Deccan whom Aurangzeb encountered, skill of locating the places captured by Aurangzeb on the outline map of India. The books which I have referred to prepare my speech are Medieval History of India by J.C. Agarwal, History of Medieval India by L.P. Sharma, Advanced Study in the History of Medieval India by J.L. Mehta. Hope this session was informative to you. Thank you, one and all.